So I played and beat Doom Eternal. To say I was excited for this game was an understatement. After I was first introduced to Doom in 2016, I was left craving more along with many others. I had so much faith in Bethesda at the time. In my opinion, they were the gold standard for video game companies before 2018. I know Bethesda Game Studios didn't actually make Doom, but they own id along with other companies with great IPs, and each one of them seemed to be doing very well. Fast forward to 2018, Bethesda announces and releases Fallout 76. Basically, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and continues to this day, shockingly. The game launched in a laughable state. My friend and I both picked up special editions for the game, and since we had a lot of faith in the studio, we never looked back. Bethesda had gone back on their word and implemented shady business practices, so naturally, this made loyal fans wonder, were these tactics going to continue and infect other studios? Things were not looking good. Machine Games had planned to release a new game called Wolfenstein Youngblood. Needless to say, it was cringy, and the combat, which was the bread and butter of Wolfenstein, was not quite the same as it was. On top of that, the business practices that infiltrated Fallout 76 began to make their way into the game. Two well-known and beloved properties had started to fall from grace. But what about Doom? Doom, along with Wolfenstein, had started a brand new genre of game, the first-person shooter. And man, to say that this type of game would be popular would be an understatement. It sparked brand new games and brought to life new ideas. And so, games like Call of Duty and Halo were born. Doom was unique in that it went for the most gory, violent, and fast-paced experience possible. As a result, Doom helped create the rating system for video games in America as it exists today. For nearly 10 years, Doom had dropped off the face of the earth until its reinvention in 2016. Doom 2016 was my first experience with the property, and it was absolutely fantastic. The game wastes no time getting straight into the action. You just wake up, slam a demon's head into the ground, grab a pistol, and start shooting. As the game progressed, you discovered new weapons and new ways to rip apart your foes, and all of that made for an absolutely fun time. Coupled with excellent gameplay, art, and Mick Gordon's awesome music, the game would be a smash hit among the gaming community. 4 years later, Doom Eternal. It's finally time to get back in the saddle and slay some demons. Is this game better than the first? Does the game improve upon its predecessor? Let's talk about it.
Nearly 60% of our planet has been consumed by the invaders.
Oh, there it is.
We have the Hellpriest signal locked in. The target is marked, but the signal will not hold for long.
For it is he that they fear, not man, or his armies. They fear the mark of the beast.
Spoilers ahead, Doom Eternal's story is better than the last one. It does a much better job at fleshing out the character and clearing up some questions about who the Doomslayer is. One question fans had after Doom 2016 was, is this the same Doomslayer from the original Doom games? Thankfully, id Software answers this question by essentially saying yes. We see flashbacks of Doom Guy arriving at this unknown place in his classic outfit. By the way, that outfit is unlockable in-game. From what I've heard, this flashback takes place shortly after Doom 64. Basically, it tells the tale of how the Sentinels found the Doomslayer, beaten nearly to death, and that he was babbling about demons on the way. The Sentinels throw him into the arena, and Doom Guy fights his way through, eventually earning the respect of the Sentinels, and eventually becoming their leader, as I understand it. It's a cool flashback, and it helps add to the events in between Doom 64 and Doom 2016. So how does the rest of the story fare? Well, it's pretty good. It picks right up after the last game's ending, which basically meant hell was coming to Earth. Spoiler alert, it did. Earth is getting fucked up by the time the Doomslayer arrives, and just like the first game, we waste no time getting straight into the action. And this is where my problems begin. Gameplay in Doom Eternal is good, when you aren't being overwhelmed, which unfortunately happens a lot in the game. I play it on easy because I don't like being angry at my video games. but the game still feels like it's on hard. Keep in mind I'm good at games, but for some reason there seems to be some balancing issues in Doom Eternal. You run out of ammo way too frequently, and you often find yourself looking for a grunt enemy to chainsaw just to get ammo. The first few levels are amazing, and the opening act does a great job at showcasing Hell on Earth. You are dropped off initially into a city where you can see Titans roaming around and destruction everywhere. You are given a shotgun immediately and get to kicking ass. The game shows off new enemy variety and new weapon enhancements to use, but some of these changes I don't feel are necessary. There are brand new enemy types in the game along with new bosses. Some of these enemy types are cool to fight and offer a fun yet difficult challenge. Sadly, the game starts to throw it all at you as you progress, leaving fights lasting too long and flat out tedious and boring at times. For me, this happened too much in the later levels in the game. I feel no one else is talking about this. Id introduces a new enemy that can place shields and prevents you from fighting. This is a bad change and it stops gameplay dead in its tracks, not to mention a few glitches on certain levels. In one instance, there was a moment where I was a few floors down and his shield popped up from 2 levels higher. This can also happen when using the new parkour system and can make you fall when jumping from wall to wall, which I feel is also an unnecessary change. Later in the game, there is a boss that we see in the trailers called the Marauder. In the trailer, he's hyped up to be this badass boss. He even calls the Doomslayer out in the trailer by calling him a false idol. Regrettably, the boss fight is too unfair. The game explains that you need to keep him at mid-range to make sure he isn't using his shield or is throwing projectiles from long range. But keeping him at mid-range doesn't work often enough, and every time you try to shoot him, his shield pops up instantly, invalidating your attack. For me, the only way I could even defeat this guy is to be up close and use the slow motion aim, and even that isn't easy. This should be the only time we fight him, but sadly, it's not. You get the pleasure of fighting him at least 4 more times in the following levels. Not only that, but you have to fight endless hordes of demons before he pops up, adding more time to an already lengthy battle. Every time this happened, I just sighed and felt like shutting the game off. Which brings me to my next problem with the game, the Con Maker. Let me just say, this boss is the hardest boss in the game for one reason. You're not given any ammo. You know, the thing that's essential in a first-person shooter. There are only 3 spots where ammo appears, and not a single bullet can be wasted. The Con Maker has a shield that you must get all the way down before performing a blood punch. In order to get that shield down, you need ammo, and ammo takes a good 3 minutes to spawn in after use. And you can't kill the drones for ammo, so you will find yourself waiting and running for 3 minutes waiting for ammo to spawn. It's neither fun nor entertaining. One thing that has changed from the last game is enemy design. It's good, you can tell it's Doom, but it's not great in my opinion. Doom 2016 was much better and creepier. For some reason, this game has much more vivid colors. Enemies have glowing eyes, and some enemies that didn't have eyes, like the Hell Knight, have eyes. In my opinion, this takes away from the creepy/horror factor. It's a minor gripe, but it's something that adds to the overall atmosphere of the game. Weapons and skins, however, are a different story. Doom Eternal gives the player customization over the Doomslayer for the first time not in multiplayer. The skins given are either different colors or something entirely new. I personally use the classic Doom skin and the demonic outfit the most. It's a small change but a nice one. Another thing I appreciate about the game is the fortress you are given. It's a nice place to relax in between missions, especially when you've just been bombarded by enemies for the last 20 minutes. Overall, Doom is a good game. It's not out to steal your money like most games these days, and it feels like developers actually cared. It's not perfect, but when it works, it's amazing. A couple tweaks here and there, and this game could have been the best one yet. Sadly, I feel it took a step back in a few ways, and could use some improvements. On a scale from 1 to 10, I'd give it a 7.5, whereas Doom 2016 was a 9. Thanks for watching my review. I know most of you don't care, but you know, this is my opinion, and hopefully it's one that you agree with, and if not, it's a fresh perspective. and if you don't agree with it, please don't dislike my video, because this is my opinion. Don't be toxic in the comments, and have a nice day.